Hi, I'm Alicia Heron from AOPA. I'm a flight instructor, and today we're going to go take this lovely 172 out around the pattern. It's a little bit windy today, so things might not be perfect, but these are the best conditions for learning. So let's get in the plane and go fly.
AOPA keeps flying safe, accessible, and fun by protecting your freedom to fly. We are the most trusted one-stop resource for all things related to general aviation. Become an AOPA pilot today.
All right, so today we're just going to go over basic beginner pattern flying, the basics that you need to know, some of my pet peeves I'll bring up. But the main thing that we're going to be looking for on today's flight is just a nice square pattern. We're going to be looking for our traffic pattern altitude. Frederick Ground, Cessna 163 Mike Echo is at the AOPA NAC taxi with Oscar. And we're going to be looking for decisive and meaningful power changes. So we're not going to be moving the power around willy-nilly. We're going to make sure that we're doing everything intentionally. So it'll be a nice flight today. It's going to be a little windy, but it's always good practice to fly in conditions that you wouldn't normally fly in. So the other thing that we're doing while we're taxiing out is we're being really conscious of where the wind is coming. So it's coming from our back right. We have a right quartering tailwind, and so with our control surfaces, we're diving away from the wind because it helps keep us more stabilized. And if we just had our controls willy-nilly, the plane would be moving around a lot. It's not so much of a problem in a nose wheel airplane, but once you start flying tail wheels, if you aren't aware of what you're doing with the controls on the taxi, you can easily ground loop just on the ground from not paying attention. So it's a really good habit to get into, and it's just what you should do when you're on the ground, is be aware of where the wind's coming from. You got to fly it, from the hangar to the hangar. So even though we're not in the area, we're still using those control surfaces and thinking about what's going on. Okay, we're not going to take off with flaps today. It's a little windy. We also probably won't land with full flaps because of the gust factor we have today, and we're going to be going so slow over the ground anyway, so we probably won't land with full flaps today. We're going to take off of runway 23 here at Frederick. We're going to be in closed traffic, and I'm going to walk you through sort of how I get us all set up for a pattern. Clear for takeoff, 23, closed traffic, will report midfield. 3 Mike Echo. All right, finals clear. Lined up on center line, got a left crosswind, so all the way in. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Alrighty, here we go. All right, full power. Keeping those ailerons all the way into the wind tier to the left. And then as our controls become more effective, we can sort of take some of that angle out. Our airspeed's alive, our instruments are green, but my eyes, you'll notice, are outside for most of that. And a nice gentle rotation here. You can watch us crab right into the wind, and we're still tracking that center line out. We got some nice wind today, nice and bumpy. We're climbing really good. I could actually be even more aggressively nose up, but because of the bumps, I'm just gonna keep us right about here as we track this center line out. I use our eyes, look outside, and make sure that there isn't somebody that we're gonna turn into.
The field elevation's 300.
300, perfect.
1300.
The pattern's 1300. So we're using 1,000 feet above field elevation as our traffic pattern altitude. I'm gonna turn into our crosswind now. We're gonna check, lift our wing. Nobody's out there. We're gonna do a nice coordinated, not super aggressive turn for our crosswind leg. And we're almost up to our traffic pattern altitude already. This is slightly atypical for warmer places where you might have to be on downwind even before you to your traffic pattern altitude. So I'm actually a little bit high here. And we're getting
runway 23 cleared for takeoff.
We're getting really pushed by this wind today, which is good practice.
Runway 23 direct to west.
All right. I like where we are with our trim. This is looking good. And you can really see that angle right now. You should never fly too wide of a pattern. You always want to fly a pattern that's appropriate for your aircraft and your glide speed. I'm going to turn us onto our base. Same thing, we're going to look, make sure nobody's out there, and we're turning onto base. And we're staying nice and coordinated, adding a little bit of that left rudder, and making sure that we're not getting too slow as well. This is where I would normally put in another notch of flaps, but because of the wind and the gust today, I'm just going to leave us where we are until I'm more established on final. And we're actually going to look, because of the wind, we're getting pushed quite a lot, so I'm going to turn us onto final now. and I'm high, which I prefer. I would rather be high than low. You always want to be within glide distance of the field whenever you're in the pattern. I know I'm really fast right now, so I'm going to slow us down with that little bit of pitch. And I'm going to add some more flaps for us. All right. That's looking a little bit better to me. We have that nice left crosswind that's making today so fun and exciting for us. All right, and I can feel that little bit of sink that we're gonna get going over this cold air, and I'm just making sure that my feet are alive on those rudders, because we don't want to get stuck up on the controls. We're just gonna track that center line on in. Looking good to me. I'd rather, oh, we're pretty much right on now. We're getting so many fun gusts. So I'm just keeping my hand on that throttle, ready to make changes. If I don't like it at any point, I can go around, of course. Got that little sink there again. All right, and I'm putting that right rudder in. Keeping our nose centered, right? Taking the power back. Keeping the nose centered with the rudder, using that left aileron. Working it, working it, working it. Oops, a little too much rudder. There we go. That's fine. Right, we're putting our flaps up, and I'm keeping that control in. That control's in. Make sure those flaps are coming up. They are. And adding that power back in. And I'm totally off center line.
This is Cherokee, Sierra Foxtrot Tango.
Which I would be so frustrated with the student for doing, but we'll get better on the next one.
North of Numbie, we like to do a practice ILS 2-3, followed by low approach only. 139 Hotel Fox Charlie Echo, ready to go.
All right, we're checking out. We're looking over there. It's clear. We're going to turn onto our crosswind. All right, we're already almost at downwind, but we're looking out. We're checking. Nobody's out there. All right, we're to our traffic pattern altitude, so taking that power on back, we'll call again. So again, we're making sure that we're about, a good rule of thumb is about halfway on your strut. Halfway up your strut is where the field should be. If you're further than that, you're probably too far out, and you really don't want to get into that bad habit of flying a really wide pattern. It's lazy, and it's unfortunately a pattern that, or a habit I see develop often, especially when I'm doing flight reviews. Frederick Tower, 3 Mike Echo is midfield downwind. We'll make this a full stop. All right, so feel good about this pattern. What we know is that the wind is really pretty strong, so we'll probably do just 20 degrees of flaps again today, and we're going to be really aware of what our how far it's pushing us out here. So hopefully I have a little bit of a better landing this time. Even though the other landing was fine, I did get a little off center line, so I'm trying to not do that this time. We'll do our first notch of flaps here, and I'm just going to leave that at those 10 degrees until we're on final. Wow, it's so gusty and fun. These are the days that make you a better pilot, even though they're, you know, I have my sleeves rolled up and it's pretty cold outside, but this is when you really learn and get better. You know, like if every landing's perfect, if you're only flying when the conditions are perfect, you're not really learning. All right, I'm just gonna keep on going into that final. This is one of those situations where you have to really stay coordinated and know how you're gonna fix a situation if it starts to get sloppy. So we're getting pushed out so far right now, and the instinct is to correct with more aileron and more rudder. But what that's gonna do is it's gonna make you uncoordinated, and it's gonna put you in a really ugly situation. This wind that we have right now, flying that left pattern, is a perfect scenario for a base to final stall spin. So when you have conditions like this, be aware of that. I'm gonna add in that second notch of flaps right here. So I was carrying some extra speed in. I was aware of what was happening, and that makes a situation like this, which is arguably has a little bit higher risk. I'm more aware of that, and it's making me a safer pilot, so it's good practice. And again, we can always go around if we need to. All right. And using that rudder.
Right now. Bravo, Roger, report 5 miles
that power back.
For right downwind to runway 23.
Report 5 miles an hour north for right, downwind to
All right, all that aileron.
139 Hotel Fox, we're clear.
I'm going to take those flaps up right away. And I don't even have my feet on the brakes yet. All right, and we're just going to stop straight ahead, not doing anything else with the ailerons, because if I did something, it would load the wings weird. Right, we're just stopping straight ahead. We're in no rush. You're never in a rush to get off the runway because that's going to create additional risk. So we're clear, we're right on the center line. I'm keeping my hand on the controls because the wind is so strong right now. And what we're doing now is we're getting almost a direct crossing right here. This is not ideal wind. This is not ideal flying weather. This is not the perfect day to fly. This is absolutely not the day where you want to take a passenger for the first time. But this is a great day to go up with a CFI and push yourself and learn a little bit more and become a stronger, more proficient pilot, because if you're just flying in the same conditions, you're not learning, and you need to keep learning to grow as a pilot. And once you not necessarily even become comfortable with these conditions, but know that you can handle them, you're going to open up more flying opportunities for yourself. So you're not going to have to wait for those perfect VFR days. You can fly with a little bit of wind. So don't just limit yourself to the days where it's perfect. On days like today, where it's gusty and windy and fun, like, you probably wouldn't have gotten so low.
No, definitely not.
But I hope you learned something today just from being in the plane as we're flying around. So do it safely, of course. You know, don't push yourself solo, but utilize an instructor. Even after your certificate, after you're done with your private pilot's license, after you're done with your instrument rating, use flight instructors. They're there to teach you, and it doesn't just have to be lessons that are towards a certificate. CFIs can teach you so much all the time, and I strongly encourage everybody to fly with flight instructors more often, not just for flight reviews. So anyway, I hope you learned something today. I know I did, and I want to go practice more windy landings.
So that was our sort of quick trip around the pattern. I hope you learned from it. It was pretty windy, but hopefully you got some tips that you can apply to your own flying. So fly safe. If you like this video, like it and leave a comment, and thanks for flying with us.